Okay, so today we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and, honestly, most hopeful ideas in all of social psychology. It's called the contact hypothesis. And it's this idea that suggests a way forward in our divided world that is, well, it's radically simple.
I mean, think about that for a second. It sounds almost too easy, right? With all the complex conflicts and deep divisions we see everywhere, could the most effective tool we have for creating peace really be as basic as just meeting someone? Actually spending time with people who are different from us? Well, this deceptively simple idea was first laid out way back in 1954. It came from a Harvard psychologist named Gordon Allport. And you have to remember the context here. He was writing this at the peak of segregation in America, and he was searching for a real, evidence-based answer to a huge question. What actually reduces prejudice?
And look, this wasn't just some theory he dreamed up that faded away. Not at all. Ever since 1954, this idea has been put to the test over and over again for decades in countries all over the world. It all kind of came to a head in 2006 with a massive study that basically sealed the deal on its importance, showing that somehow it's more relevant now than ever.
Now, this is absolutely the most crucial part. Allport was really clear that not just any contact will do. In fact, if you do it wrong, the wrong kind of contact can actually make prejudice even worse. So he laid out 4 very specific conditions that have to be in place. You can almost think of it as a recipe for success.
So let's break down that recipe. First up, equal status. In that moment of contact, neither group can have power over the other. They have to meet as peers. Second, common goals. You need a shared objective, something that both groups want to achieve. That leads right into the third condition, intergroup cooperation. They have to work together, side by side, not competing against each other. And finally, you need authority support. This just means that institutions and social norms have to be on board with the contact. You need all 4.
And here's the magic. When you get those 4 ingredients in the mix, the result is incredibly consistent. Prejudice measurably goes down. It's a formula that genuinely seems to change hearts and minds.
So, how sure are we that this formula actually works? Well, the evidence is, frankly, it's staggering. We are not talking about a few small experiments here. We're talking about an absolute mountain of research built up over more than half a century.
515. Just let that number sink in. That's how many different scientific studies 2 researchers, Thomas Pettigrew and Linda Tropp, pulled together for that landmark 2006 review. It's what's called a meta-analysis, basically a study of studies. And their data covered 250,000 people from all over the globe.
And the results of that massive analysis were just unbelievable. In 94% of the cases they looked at, contact between groups, when Allport's conditions were generally met, led to a reduction in prejudice. 94%. That makes this one of the most reliable, most consistent findings in all of social science.
And this isn't just stuff that happens in a lab, right? This plays out in the real world. Think about it. Soldiers who served alongside their openly gay colleagues. They had equal status, they had the common goal of defending their country, and they had to cooperate. The result? They became way more supportive of gay rights.
Or take this one. Study after study shows that white Americans who have genuine close friendships with Black Americans, where they're equals, sharing life's goals, they show significantly less racial bias, both consciously and unconsciously. And believe it or not, this even works in some of the most difficult conflicts on Earth. When Israelis and Palestinians come together in carefully structured programs that follow Allport's recipe, they show a huge increase in empathy for the other side. That change can sometimes last for years.
So the power of direct contact is pretty clear, but the research found something else, something even more mind-blowing, a kind of ripple effect that makes this idea way bigger than just the people in the room.
And that leads us to maybe the wildest finding of all. You don't even need to have direct contact yourself for it to work. It's called the extended contact hypothesis. And what it means is that simply knowing someone in your group, say a friend or a family member, has a close, positive friendship with someone from another group, that alone can reduce your own prejudice. So just think about that for a second. Your friendships, the connections you make across different groups, they don't just change you. They send these positive ripples out through your whole social network, changing people in ways you might never even see.
So okay, why on earth does a theory from 1954 matter so much right now? Well, it's because we are living in an age of what you could call contact failure. Our online algorithms, our social circles, they're sorting us into these little bubbles where we have less and less real, meaningful contact with people who think or vote or just live differently than we do.
We're really faced with a choice. There's one path, which is more digital bubbles, more competition, more isolation. And that's a perfect recipe for rising prejudice. But there's that other path, the one Allport showed us. It's built on finding common goals, on cooperating, and that path leads directly to less prejudice and more understanding.
So what does this actually look like in our lives? It's not about some grand top-down government program. It's about what you might call peace infrastructure. And that's things like a community garden where neighbors are working together. It's a youth sports team with kids from all different backgrounds. It's your workplace, a neighborhood cleanup day. These are the everyday spaces where the real magic of contact happens.
And that really brings us to the core of it all. The challenge here isn't to go out and win an argument or to convince someone they're wrong. The real challenge and the real opportunity is much simpler. It's to meet someone, not to change their mind, but just to know them as a person. Because as more than 500 studies have proven, when we actually do that, everything else can follow.